Go ahead.
This is the point to jump off if you have not seen it yet.
Right. I will say though, it's weird because somebody could spoil this movie for me. Like they could tell me every detail, and I feel like I'd still really, really enjoy it. I feel like there's nothing in this movie that somebody would tell me that I'd go, oh, the movie's just ruined. Now, once again, spoilers.
All right.
If Alfred would have died and somebody told me that would be a spoiler that would ruin the movie. But I don't think there's anything in this movie if somebody told me it would really ruin it.
So I'm going to jump in. The character that I have, the number one character, that the acting's well done, but it doesn't fit for me, is actually... Please hold. Let me see my notes. Andy Serkis as Alfred. Every other live-action interpretation of Alfred has felt more like Alfred. I don't know if it's necessarily because I literally just watched Black Panther like 2 weeks ago. It very well could be. Sorry, he doesn't embody that Alfred-esque thing that I've come to love with the earlier films, with Michael Caine. Even Jeremy Irons felt a lot more like a strong Alfred. He wasn't bad. He just didn't click as Alfred for me.
Yeah, I like how Jeremy Irons kind of felt like a teammate to Batman, Bruce Wayne, all around. He was really involved. Like he would steer the Batwing and everything else like that. So yeah, I give him a pass mostly because his screen time was limited to probably about 10 minutes. Like I mean, he's in a bed. He's standing. He doesn't do a whole lot for what he's in. I thought he did okay. I actually really like. I was talking about this before he came on. I don't know if you heard it or not, but I was actually talking about. I love Gotham, the TV show, and I understand people's problems with it, but I like that we get a little bit more with each character. You get to see a lot of the Batman villains, and the Alfred in that show he has training. He has military training. He has boxing training, so he helps prepare Bruce in his earlier stages, and then Bruce goes on and does other things and learns more stuff. So with this Alfred talking about how I could teach you how to fight, I like that. I like an Alfred that has a little bit more life left in him. It's not at the tail end of his life. Like Michael Gough is up there for me when it comes to Alfreds, but he's pretty old, right? And I love his proper attire. He's always upright. He feels like the most proper Alfred, like old school English, old school manners and class. So I like that. So I would give Andy Serkis a pass just because he didn't get enough screen time to really, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I got to give him a pass for this first movie because it's not his fault.
I gotta give it.
I'm with Jabari right here. He says that he liked Irons, Jeremy Irons, Jeremy Irons as Alfred. Not really cared for Caine. I like Michael Caine as Michael Caine. I think that saves his Alfred because I love that actor so much. I do like that Alfred. I do. I just prefer other Alfreds over Michael Caine. My bad.
So, personally, he is my favorite Alfred because the character that he plays as Alfred reminds me to a T of my grandfather who passed when I was a kid. Like how much he cares, the extent of which he's willing to go to show his love and compassion for Bruce and for Rachel, and that just, it was over the top. Amazing in my opinion. That said, and I'm going to kick myself for not knowing his name, the original Alfred in the 1989 Batman through Batman and Robin, he's the most nostalgic for me, and I absolutely love him.
Michael Gough.
Yep.
nostalgia. I mean, and I love him and everything else he did. When he was in like Tim Burton's, we just talked about it, Sleepy Hollow. Like that little part he has where his like eyeballs messed up and he's kind of creepy with like the weird, mullet or whatever he's got. I don't know. Anyway, tangent, but I always loved him as an actor as well. He did, even though in his later years I didn't. Anyway, so I would give him a pass for that. I would actually say that. Hold on, Jabari said something. Zoe Kravitz's prize and shine through the whole movie. I completely agree.
She was amazing.
Right. I prefer, and maybe I should hold this off for later because this was actually a question I was going to ask you, but I actually still prefer Michelle Pfeiffer just because of nostalgia in that suit, right? The kicking, the flipping, the whips and stuff like that. But Zoe Kravitz, when it comes to the comics, when it comes to looking like that just a ski mask, dude, like just a ski mask and like a leather outfit for motorcycle riding, dude. She's so awesome, and the fight scene with Batman, it's like your kid is like trying to play fight with you, but then he tries to take it to the next level, and you have to put him down. Like I thought she did a great job. I will say that she's fantastic.
I prefer Zoe Kravitz because she reminds me of the comics, the cartoons, and the video games. Like, she is on point. On point.
Yeah.
Then I would go Pfeiffer because, I mean, classic. And we all have things to say about Dark Knight Rises. But, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like she gets a bad rap, but I just watched Rises, and I got to say that I thought she was okay.
I don't dislike her, and I think had the movie been a little bit stronger, she would be higher on the list for people, but right. I don't know why people disliked her, but will totally pass over Talia al Ghul. That was the worst death scene I have ever seen, period.
Right.
But I paid money to go see.
Right, and it undermined Bane. Like, he's this big threat, and then all of a sudden he's just a henchman. Like, I mean, he's still a big threat, but anyway, back to Batman. No, yeah, and so we'll say Batman for last, right? Because we'll probably rank the Batmans. So let's try to avoid ranking the Batmans. But we'll talk about him in a minute. But let's work our way up. Let's do an easy one.
Carmine Falcone.
Well, hold on. Let's do Penguin first, because we're gonna do the easy ones first. Let's do the Penguin.
He did really good. Colin Farrell. I was absolutely shocked at how well Colin Farrell did. But honestly, the thing that takes me out of it is imagine having so many actors that actually look like what they want their Penguin to look like, and instead they took the time and the effort, and Colin Farrell took the paycheck and the prosthetics to do the job. That's crazy to me. Like, that was my thought every time he was on screen. I was like, oh my God, that was so much effort. But he did great. He did awesome, and he totally Arkham City. That was Penguin from Arkham City the whole time. It's like he's actually a fan of Batman. When he comes on the screen, he feels like Oswald Cobblepot, which is just refreshing to feel. Like, whereas, as much as I love Batman Returns, Danny DeVito's Penguin is nothing close to the source material. Nothing at all.
Right, it's nightmare fuel. It's nightmare fuel. It's like Batman got hit by the gas from Scarecrow, and like the whole Batman Returns, Catwoman getting brought back to life by cats, Penguin looking like an actual penguin, like all that weird stuff is just him like suffering the effects. But I love Colin Farrell. I think he's, for some reason, Hollywood and people just trashed him for so long. He did a couple stinkers, but I love him. I think he's a cool dude. I think he's suave. I think he can act really well. I'm so glad that this is his, in my opinion, this is his big comeback. I'm a little disappointed that they didn't bring him back in the newest Harry Potter, whichever Secrets of Dumbledore or whatever. I'm not keeping up with them because I just haven't had time. But I love his look. I love the whoa, that's sweet hot. Like the good cop, bad shit cop. Like I love he's funny. He's crass. He's loud and he's assertive. Like when Falcone's getting dragged away, he's like, "You'd be lucky to or have fun in Arkham or whatever," or "I'll kill you myself," kind of a thing. Like I really like Colin Farrell's Penguin. I really wish we got about 5 more minutes with him, just because he always felt like he didn't have a whole lot of screen time that was mostly focused on him. There's always like, and gunfire, and he's running, and the car chase, and he's in the car, and there's this. He got one little like good moment with Batman in the club. I just wish we got a little bit more of him, but that's good because the movie should always leaving you wanting more, and they left him in a really good spot.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be doing a series on the Penguin in Arkham, so I think they left him in a good spot. I would have liked 5 more minutes with him. I have no complaints. I love him. I wanted more. I love him. Fantastic.
Yeah. No, Colin Farrell did a pretty good job.
Now,
gotta say.
Let's go from here. Let's go to another easy one. This one's easy for me, and I don't understand if anybody would have any issues. Let's go to is it Jeremy Wright? Am I messing that up? Jeremy Wright, I believe. That played Gordon.
Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright.
So many Jeffrey. Anyway, Jeffrey Wright. I love him in everything he's in. Westworld, he was in the Hunger Games. Everything this guy is in. When he was Peoples Hernandez in The Shaft. He was Martin Luther King, right? I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but everything. This guy is a top-class, fantastic actor. I've never seen him in a bad role, and he crushes it as Gordon. Gary Oldman in Begins and The Dark Knight is a really good Gordon. I don't know, man. I think he might take my number 1 spot. The connection, the chemistry between him and Batman, his timing, I just love the actor. I freaking love that actor. Great casting.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I honestly, and this is backtracking again, if we got more Batfleck universe, I think J.K. would do an amazing job as a full-time Gordon. But unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see that. So, yeah, Jeffrey Wright, definitely. It's a close race between him and Oldman because they both did a fantastic job. Zero complaints. I had absolutely no doubt that he would because everything he's in, he just crushes it. Like, he's awesome.
He's great.
I want to cover Carmine Falcone.
Well, hold on. Now I want to go one more, and then I want to go to him because there's something I want to talk about that nobody's talking about, and it's interesting because it's like flashy lights. Look here, but really you should be looking here. So I agree. I want to get there. We're going to get there. Kevin says that the Penguin show is going to have plenty more Penguin. Yes, I can't wait. I'm super excited. Like I said, yeah. I'm glad that I have that to fall back on because I'd be super sad if I had. I got enough from everybody else besides Alfred and him, so I am glad to get that. But let's go to.
I'm going to have to get an HBO Max subscription again, man.
Yep, you are. Let's go to the Riddler now. This is the one where I will probably. I don't know. You go first because I want maybe you could I want to hear you.
All right. Beginning stages of Riddler was very slasher-esque, very 80s horror movie-esque, into more modern horror film. It was awesome. He did a great job. I was absolutely shocked until we got to the final act where it's this big old plot on top of it where yet again we have another thing that's going to tear down all of Gotham that it's like, where did all of this come from? How was this? what? There's bombs? Oh, okay. Oh, there's the like I know Riddler always has a backup. Like that's totally a thing. That's been in the comics, the cartoons, the games. I get it. Riddler's always got a weird side plan. He does, just like the Joker. But that came out of nowhere. And I was like ready to get up and leave because I was like, oh, this is it. It's going to leave off with that interrogation between him and Batman and Arkham. I was like, that's an awesome ending point. Like, that is brilliant. And then no, he started a club online and got a bunch of other people to dress like him and start killing people. What? Now, that's not his fault. That's not Paul Dano's fault. That's not his writing. And he was doing good during the interrogation. I loved how he was like, no, we were in this together. Like, he felt that. And it's also really fun to watch him play on, he knows who Bruce Wayne is, but he's not going to say it, but he's not 100% sure. Like, noticing that was awesome. The bombs and the sea level and the 55 friends with rifles, that was over the top.
Right.
At least it wasn't Skybeam.
Right. It was under their noses. That was the riddle. Which part? Which part was that? Sorry, Kevin. I just don't want to mess that up and wrong guess on that. But it felt, and I know like there are Zodiac vibes. Everybody's talking about it, right? It's the same thing we said with, and it's nothing like it's like groundbreaking that nobody didn't notice. It's the same thing with Joker. We'd seen the movie before. This movie relies heavily on a lot of things from the Dark Knight Rises or from the Dark Knight. I don't want to say relies, but it recycles, and I'm not trying to attack
it was influenced
because it's there, right? There's only so much cinema. You're going to repeat something. It's Batman and villains. It makes sense that he might get caught. So I'm not trying to say that the movie's lesser because of it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it has similar vibes. It's Zodiac, Seven, these movies like that. And then the Seven twist where John Doe gives himself up, and then it goes from there. This didn't quite have that impact of what's in the box. So I'm hearing you there. The bombs was a riddle. Oh, with the pulling up the carpet and the lights and everything. Okay, I need to watch that again because I was trying to keep up with that at the end, and I don't know. Okay, here's my thing because I like the Riddler, right? I love that he was in the background, silent. He struck. He was in the car. He was creepy, right? I thought he got a little squirrely. Now he talked a little bit, right, when he had the car that goes into the church or whatever and some of the other stuff. But I thought he got a little squirrely when he was interrogated. I felt like a little bit Joker vibes. The way we were taking this guy serious and the way he was creepy and smart, and I just thought he got a little squirrely. I don't know. He went from a dude that kind of felt like he was a normal tall guy, and then all of a sudden he felt like this little cowering small guy. And I know that the Riddler is not about physicality. I know that, but he just felt small and squirrely and kid-like.
Oh, we already did spoiler free.
Yeah, sorry, man. We are deep into spoilers now, but we're not really. Yeah, we're just talking about. We're going back through the characters and talking about their. Yeah. Yeah, we're super into spoiler territory at this point. No, I think for me it fit because he felt like his plan was coming together. That he was feeling like he was going to join forces with the Batman. And I think that was like a level of excitement for him that he was going to get that. So it wasn't necessarily a cowering thing. It was like an overwhelmed with excitement type of thing. And to me, it felt real. Now, when he was freaking out and, spoiler, we get the worst Joker noises ever, that was on the nose and too much, too, in my opinion. It just...
forced scene, in my opinion.
Right, and I will say that I do like the rat traps. I like the Saw vibes to it. Right, I do like that gritty, nasty. I like all that. The riddles I thought were a little intricate and this will be kind of going into Batman. We'll talk about here in a second. But Batman didn't even flinch. Like, I've thought about my own farts and should I trust them more than he did solving these complex riddles. Like, I'm not trying to be weird. I'm just saying, like, literally, like, we've all done it where you pause for a second and you're like, Batman he didn't move, he didn't breathe high, he didn't sigh, eyes didn't go side, nothing. He just solved the riddles and moved on. So I wish they would have been a little bit more difficult. I mean, I get that some of them, like the URL and like the other one, the Spanish one and stuff like that. I get that there were some of them that kind of threw him off, but I don't know. It's a nitpick. I like the Riddler overall. It's just I didn't like the squirreliness because I love how creepy he was, and then to just make him, I think I'm kind of over. Like, the Joker, you can do that, but I think I'm kind of over, like, the Two-Face, like, Tommy Lee Jones, that squirrely. I'm over the Riddler from Jim Carrey. I just, his intensity kind of deflated when he just looked like some nerd dude sitting there in a chair that, was using Batman. He looked like he was capable himself, but, and the way he got captured, I thought was kind of weak as well. Like, all this planning and you just sit there and somebody spotted you and you get caught. Like, it was just kind of strange.
That was on purpose.
But why?
Why not? He wants his moment with the Batman. And he knows that's the best way to do it.
Well, and is it also because that would get his followers engaged? Like, if he's like a martyr now, like, hey, I'm stuck, come help me. This is the plan. If I get caught, you take over. I'll buy it. It's fine. It's not, like I said, it's just something that I thought was a little weird and jarring, how we're chasing him, we're working all these riddles out, we're doing our detective thing. He's sitting at a coffee shop. Batman didn't actually solve it. He figures out the rest of the stuff later, but really to catch the Riddler, he didn't actually catch the Riddler. Riddler went and had a cup of coffee. Like, anyway. So, do you have anything else to talk about the Riddler? Because now I want to get into Falcone.
Nope. I'm good here.
Okay. Now, with Falcone, the reason I wanted to kind of leave him last, and really, he had bombs. You are all about these bombs, Kevin. You love you some bombs. They're the bomb, aren't they? Like, I know, the bombs kind of felt like the Dark Knight Rises, where Bane has the bombs and it encloses the cops under the ground. Anyway, yeah, no. Tomorrow I'm gonna watch it again, Jabari. Like the last little bit, like, spiraled so fast, and I was just like Caleb said, I was like, the bombs just kind of felt like they came out of nowhere. Then all of a sudden you have these other henchmen out there. It was a very different ending, which is also going to play into my kind of feels of the movie as we get there. But hang on one second. Yeah, even in Forever, Batman had a hard time solving the riddles for the most part. Yeah, MRE, like, just a little bit more time to solve these riddles. But anyway, so let's go into Falcone, because Caleb's chomping at the bit, and I agree. That's why I wanted to save him for the second to last. We'll do Batman last. Falcone. What Falcone is, what nobody's talking about, and I want to just dive into this first because I don't want to get. You're going to get into this, and that's great. But what nobody's talking about is the Riddler was the evil side of Batman, right? Like, Batman doesn't want to use guns, right? Like, when they walk in with Gordon, Batman's like, no guns. He's like, yeah, man, that's your thing, whatever. The Riddler was attacking the corrupt cops, the villains, stuff like that. Now, he was doing horrible things, and he was putting the city into fear, but you know what I'm saying? He was kind of an anti-hero in his own, well, he was a hero in his own mind, but that was cool. So, the Riddler is the poster's main villain, right? For the most part, right? But throughout the history of this Gotham, throughout the history of this movie, deeper elements of this movie, Falcone is the actual main villain. And you can fight me on that, but he's the actual main villain. He's the architect of all the suffering for the most part. I know there's other guys and other gangs and stuff like that, but so then you have this guy, Falcone, and he's played by John Turturro. And one of his better roles. Now he's a great actor across the board. Even in his goofy comedy stuff, I love it. But he's fantastic. He hides in shadow. He owns the surroundings. He owns the cops. He owns the cities. He's got Penguin as his number 2, and he's ruthless. He is scary and smooth. That's all I wanted to say, is that nobody seems to talk about the actual main villain of this movie and how good he is, and I just wanted to put the respect on it.
I want to start by saying that John did an amazing job as Carmine. That said, something about Tom Wilkinson felt more harsh. I don't know why. Now, this version felt creepy. He felt weird. He felt uncomfortable to be around. Whereas Tom Wilkinson in Batman Begins was just like a pure force. Like, he knew what he was. He knew what his club was. He knew where he was going to be. He knew what. But this one was like, I'll play it slow, and then I'll destroy you. The one thing that I had kind of an issue with is he's done this for all these years, and somehow he let one person record him on voicemail. It just, like, that just kind of took me out of how, like, smart this version was. I don't know. I can't believe that nobody's talking about his character, because it deserves to be talked about. He did a really good job. The character is just hard to watch because it's just uncomfortable to be around. And when he talks to Bruce about, well, I mean, that's fair. When he talks to Bruce about his father, you could read over what he was saying. Like, you knew that it wasn't the truth.
Right.
It was like a half-truth. And, yeah, I agree. Wilkinson was more realistic, in my opinion, too. That whole, with Batman Begins, that scene where Bruce goes into his bar and he's like, you think you know about Lost, but you don't? What about your little girlfriend at the DA's office? Like, that right there, that scene is just pure gold. But back to John's interpretation of him, it shockingly so well done, and so few people are talking about his character, and it is sad that we probably won't see his character again, except for maybe through some flashbacks or something like that, because it was so well done. So well done.
Yeah, they were going for more of a comic book look. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it's one of those things where, once again, the 20 minutes we were talking about, like the revelation or whatever, that Catwoman is his daughter or whatever. Yeah. That's a lot of weaving in and out of the story, and then that fight scene at the end, it just a little longer and everything like that. But I just, in the new one, yeah, Kevin, yeah, I agree, man. Yeah, and I gotta say, I love everybody, like Falcone in Batman Begins, Maroni in The Dark Knight. I love, most of these gangsters are just great. They just, whoever they get to get these roles are just fantastic. And I like you were saying, that speech is just fantastic. You'd have to go 1,000 miles to get, somebody who doesn't know your name. You never tested desperate. You've never known fear. You don't understand. It's golden. That's one of the, God dang, that movie. Batman Begins is so underrated. Or not, I'm not, it just gets so overshadowed by The Dark Knight. Anyway. Yeah. So that's, the scene with him and with the pool tables, and he's got those like round windows, really felt like a gangster hideout. Kind of felt like the old Gotham from '89. Just that. There's little like the vents and stuff like that, the piping and stuff like that they did in some of these. Man,
this scenery throughout the movie, the Gotham City, the interior shots, all that felt like the Arkham games. Like, I felt like I was playing Arkham City or Arkham Knight. Not so much Arkham Asylum, but we'll get there, hopefully. It was so cool to see that in the movie. Like, I mean, like you said earlier about Batman Begins, how it was shot, and it's like it has a different feel from Dark Knight Rises because of the set design to real world set. Um, Whereas this is like, this is our world, this is our Gotham, and I swear if they make a sequel and they pull that out from under you, it's going to ruin the aesthetic because this is so well done. Like, it feels like I'm in the comic or I'm in the video game, or, you know, it works. It really works.
All right. So now let's get into the big dog. We've saved it for the last, and then we'll go back and we'll talk a little bit about the story. But I wanted to get to the characters because the characters, that's what this movie is, right? It's a detective Batman. It's a story of the characters and how everything flows together with Gotham and each other and everything else like that. So I wanted to go through the characters first because for the most part, the characters carry the story, and it's just anyway. We just cover the stories, we cover the characters. But hang on, is the Dark Knight trilogy worth a 4K upgrade? Hang on, I can't reach both of them, but I can reach one. I was so real quick. I want to just answer this question with Kevin because we love physical media, and we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. I got the Dark Knight, and I've got them on 4K. I will say that it adds to the movie. Like I was talking about last week when I was doing things spoiler free, I think a little bit. Sometimes with the Blu-ray, and especially because most of the Dark Knight Rises was earlier Blu-ray for the most part, some of the hair kind of had a glossy scene bit to it, like a grain. Sometimes it had too much shine on it. Ties, too much shine, too much detail they couldn't quite get. When you see you see Batman in Hong Kong, and he's up on the skyscraper. When it's moving around on Blu-ray, it kind of gets kind of choppy because there's so much information of that detail and the glossy off the windows and everything. It kind of struggles. So there are some benefits to the 4Ks. I don't know if it's worth an upgrade. If it's one of your favorite trilogies of all time, I would say buy it for sure. Yeah, it's worth an upgrade depending on how much you're going to watch it, depending on how much you love the best quality available. And I've got DTS Virtual X. Dude, I will say that it's the best the movie's ever sounded since the theater. The trilogy of Nolan's. Anyway.
And personally, like we talked about a little while ago, I'm still on DVD Blu-ray for the most part. If something comes along with 4K that, you know, it just is worth the right price, I'll snag it. But I don't have a 4K player. That said, my only 4K film is Halloween 5. My God. That sucks.
That. I respect that. And I don't own it, which makes me a little sad. I should have bought it when I had the chance with the poster, because those posters are cool. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, that. I love that. I love that artwork. I understand it's not as good as some, but I do love that artwork. I love Jabari. He goes, in other words, yeah. No.
No.
It's one of those things, like I said, I'm nitpicking. It's something I always notice when I watch The Dark Knight. And The Dark Knight specifically, Heath Ledger's hair, the makeup, ties on like Falcone's tie and stuff like that. And then, or not Falcone, Maroni. And then the building. So I will say The Dark Knight, yes. The other two, not as much. It's all in how much you want to pay for the best. But it doesn't rip you out of the movie either way. I mean, and for the longest point, that's all we had. So who knows? But anyway, so let's get to the Batman and Robert Pattinson, what we thought overall. And the first question I want to ask you, Caleb, so I don't forget, is do you have a problem, or was it an issue with the ratio of Bruce Wayne to Batman? Did you need more Bruce Wayne? Did you not like the Bruce Wayne? Your thoughts on that?
He felt so. I've watched Gotham Knight and Year One, the animated films. I did do some light reading of some earlier comics. Well, not earlier comics, but comics about his earlier endeavors. It felt like that. He felt younger, arrogant, more more willing to just go do whatever he wants, irregardless of anybody else. So to me, it worked because I believe this is year 2, if I'm correct. Yeah, he said it was his second year of doing this. So he's still like figuring out where he's going to go, what he's going to do. So personally, I didn't have a problem with that Bruce Wayne or that Batman. I felt like it was pretty balanced. I also was a fan of how he balanced, and we're in spoilers, so it's fine, how he balanced going between Batman and Bruce Wayne in like quick shots where he had the motorcycle jacket, which he's fitting his costume into. Like, it works. It's brilliant. It's a quick, easy way. It makes more sense than trying to get out of the Batman Forever suit. Like, right. Oh no, I need to get to talk to this person really quick, but I can't do it as Batman. Oh, and I ride a motorcycle, so I'll keep a helmet with me so it covers my eyes. It worked. It's smart, it's easy, and it makes sense. So, all in all, I was pretty impressed.
I'm glad you brought that up because I really love the idea that you were talking about, the ability for Batman to blend in. I really, really, really like that. I like that a lot. So, sorry, real quick. So, getting an LG soundbar for my job, it sounds so good. Yeah, man, dude, it's amazing the soundbars nowadays, man. It really is. Those soundbars. I've got a soundbar with the 2 rear speakers that are Bluetooth from the subwoofer, man. It's amazing, man. Based on Bruce Wayne on Kurt Cobain. Based his Bruce Wayne on Kurt Cobain. Kurt, help me out here. Why am I blanking? Why? I know. Help.
Nirvana.
Oh God, yeah, duh. God dang, dude. I'm sorry, dude. It's so funny because like my brain, we're watching Pam and Tommy right now, my wife and I. So my mind was only going towards Tommy from Motley Crue. Batman was disguised as Bruce. Yeah. There you go. Yep. I love that. Yep. I love it.
I want to point out, so yes, this is true. And it felt that way in Batman vs. Superman. It felt that way in Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. It felt that way, a lot more recently. But this movie fell into one trap that all the other Batman movies have that I'm not sure we needed to make that jump quite yet. And that is that we got the brooding Batman who is just ready to take out whatever, and by the end of the movie he's talking about hope. So we solved that problem in one movie. I can't, if we're getting the brooding Batman, I want him to stick around for a few movies. I want to see where, I want to see Dark Knight Returns where he breaks the Joker's neck and takes a step back. I want to see the Batman where he can't do it anymore. He's just that's what I've wanted. And I thought that we could get that with Zack Snyder, Ben Affleck. We were on the cusp of it. If we wouldn't have had to rush Justice League, we could have had it. And even with the further Justice League movies, if we would have gotten them, as you can tell by the Zack Snyder Justice League in dialogue between him and Joker, we might have got it. He might have pulled the Batman breaks Joker's neck. And that would have been awesome.
Dude, they were so on the edge of greatness. And like I was saying before you got on here too, like the ability of with Ben Affleck's Batman, you were so close. You could do more than any other Batman. You could do the fantastical stuff. You could do the supernatural, superhuman stuff. You could have a Man-Bat. You could have Clayface. You could have all these weird ones most Batman, that's my biggest fear about this movie, is they keep talking about a trilogy. God dang it. Stop limiting yourself to 3 movies and then you're out of there. Knock it off.
On that note, it feels like, The Batman feels like a movie that is going more on a Nolan-esque where it's a little bit more realistic. My problem is, until he injected himself with green goo that looks like the Titan stuff from Bane.
Right. Well, hang on. Let's get there because that ties into my positive and negatives. I want to talk about here in just a second about the Batman. But real quick before I forget, now we've talked about, like you said, early stages of Batman. Now, does it bother you that this Batman is working with Gordon? That Gordon is lieutenant? Does it bother you, like? Because he's like a ninja, right? Like we were talking about, like the motorcycle thing. He can blend in. He's vengeance. He's mean. He's nasty. He's not caring about saving the day. He's caring about making bad guys pay. I feel like him working with Gordon, had they had a smaller relationship that built towards the end of the movie, and then Hope took over, and then they're working together. I understand that the other cops didn't trust him. I just felt like that was a little soon.
So for me, we don't know what happened before. We don't know what's happened in that 2 years.
Right.
To me, 2 years is enough time to build that relationship. Right. Most definitely. Because if you think about it, it happens in Batman Begins in a matter of months. So I can see it. I can work with it. Then again, the Batman in Batman Begins is vastly different from this interpretation. He's not necessarily just going out and trying to find side crime like this. Batman's like, I can pop up anywhere and just ruin your life.
Right. Well, that's what it sounded like. So, it kind of felt like this Batman wanted to just throw down a beating to everybody. But Bale's Batman was like, yeah, no, I'm going to get some evidence. I'm going to catch them with their fingers in the cookie jar. We're going to take them down. Like he'll stop them, like if they're if they're going to be a danger to the police or to anybody else. But it kind of felt like, yeah, he was actually ready to put them behind bars, not just beat the holy bejesus out of them. But let's see. Critics and Marvel shill sabotage DCEU. Oh my God, man! I just don't understand. Like, I don't understand the toxicity why you cannot be a Marvel and a DC fan. Like, I just don't understand it. It's so weird. Like, we divide ourselves over any little thing. We divide ourselves, and we have to separate. It's just weird. It's just dumb. And yeah, Warner Brothers, like, stop hiring artists if you can't get on the same page from the get-go. Batman has always been cool with Gordon. Also, yeah. It just felt a little early. I don't mind it. It just felt a little bit early based on some of the other factors. But it's not. It's just a nitpick. It's not a big deal. It's just something I want to talk about.
Real quick, on the WB thing. How are you going to be like, we put out one Superman movie, we must compete with the Avengers film that took multiple films to build? That was so stupid. So stupid. This movie did more for me than Batman Begins. We're going to get to that.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see that. Looks of it probably took Gordon a while to warm up to Batman prior to this film. Yeah, I hope they do a little bit of flashbacks just to get a taste of that, because I mean the friendship build is important, and I mean, just like look at him and Catwoman by the end of this movie, right? That build of friendship or camaraderie, romance a little bit, like we kind of miss that, and it's okay because it's okay. I hope we get at least maybe some flashbacks or something like that. Just trying to help fill that out. Just something I want to talk about because it's an idea. It's something that's very different that I'm not sure I would have gone that route. Now, question, Caleb, also before I forget, and I'm sorry, I just don't want to forget. How do you feel about no Batcave in this movie? It's not a make or break. It's just something I noticed. It's a little different. It's interesting.
It's kind of a cave, but not really. It didn't bug me.
But it's under Wayne Tower, right? It's weird.
Yeah, it's under Wayne Tower, and we don't know why. They may be pulling off the whole Wayne Manor was burnt to the ground or something by now already. Or he could be working in Wayne Tower just because he's got access to R&D there. He's got access to the science. It's quick for him, and since he owns it, why not?
Man, I can't wait. We're gonna have to get into this because we're gonna rank the movies, man. And Kevin's talking about how Batman Begins didn't feel like a Batman movie. I mean, that's crazy.
I really disagree.
That's
really
crazy.
Disagree. I feel like that's the most.
I love it.
I think Batman Begins is the most Batman Bruce Wayne centric film because that is the only movie that is actually his movie. Every other movie has something to do with somebody else. This is the build of the Batman.
Yeah,
I said
I
what
can't
I
wait.
said.
No, I love it. Burn it down. Burn it down. Like it's crazy. Like that's good stuff, man. I mean, hey, if you love the new movie, if you hate the new movie, as long as
Dude,
I love
yeah.
go against the grain and talk about it. I love it.
And I said this earlier. The Batman, for every little negative thing I have to say, I think it could be countered as a positive, and there's absolutely no way that I would challenge it because it is such a good movie. It's such a good interpretation of a Batman film. Anything I say is just my personal opinion, and I am probably wrong to at least a handful of people, if not more. So, yeah, I just want to point out, I think John and I both actually really enjoyed the Batman, but I think that at the moment, with where we're at, I feel like we're both maybe more fans of what we've already digested throughout the history of our lives versus something we both just saw within 2 weeks.
Well, that could be it. Now, Batman '89. I know you're not talking trash on my favorite movie of all time, Kevin. I don't know where there's a mute kick out button, but there's an ejectocito button somewhere here. Love the DK,
No,
of course. Yeah, of course.
But yeah, no.
All right, you
John,
you go
how
for
did
it, man.
you?
Yeah.
How did you feel about how Batman flies?
That's that's actually
It totally makes sense, but I couldn't help but laugh. Like it makes sense. But man,
he looks like a flying squirrel that fell out of a tree. I'm sorry, like, oh god,
it's
like,
true.
I'm sorry, dude.
But it's far more logical than any other take on Batman flying. Like it's 1,000 times more logical. And the fact that he like flew and lost control and fell, and he was also scared of the flying, like that is the most logical Batman flying segment that's ever been in a live action movie. But I couldn't help but laugh because he looked like a flying squirrel. I just like, oh my
Man.
god.
He just like he goes up to the ledge. He's like, whoa, yeah, and then he's like, woo, like it just, I don't know, dude. It just, it's it's like cliff diving or whatever into the water. You're like 50 feet up, and like my sister-in-law, like we climbed up this big rock hill. We were out on Beaver Lake. We talk about squirrels. But no, we get up there, and I thought she was gonna chicken out, and she jumps off this like 50-foot rock thing, and I was like, well, crap, I'm here. So yeah, it's like he had no choice. It's funny. It's like he never tried it before. The only thing I hated about that scene, and we'll get into more of my dislikes of there is some dislikes of this Batman. I hate that he hits that bridge hard, and then he hits the ground, and there should be more damage. That's something I really like about Chris. And we'll maybe rank everything else later, but we might not have enough time tonight. We're crushing this review, in my opinion. But I like Christian Bale's Batman. Like, you know, the dogs, he's messed up. He's sewing himself up, right? Like hitting the wall, you see the bruises. Like, you know your limits, Master Wayne. Batman has no limits. Blah blah blah. Like, I like that you could see the damage, and it hurt him. His back. He's getting older. They talk about the X-rays. Like in this Batman, he feels invincible. He feels like Christopher Reeve's Superman the movie when he's walking down. I talked about this in the trailers when he's walking down Superman and the flames are going off on him. He's just walking through. The machine guns are hitting him. He's just walking through. That's probably my biggest, and this just rolled into it, but it's my biggest disappointment. My biggest irritation with this movie is the 2-foot gunfire that doesn't even hurt him. It doesn't the impact, the inertia, nothing even flinches. And then like an explosion in his face. And he's okay. He's unconscious, but he's okay. And then the shotgun that hits him from 4 feet or whatever it was, I think it was 2 shots, right? I think he got hit with both barrels. But I was like, I mean, a rifle's still going to have a lot of impact on you. It just bugs the ever-loving bejesus out of me. It's just something I would have toned down a little bit. Like, you're not Terminator, you're not Superman. Like, at least duck and dodge these things. Like, it just bothered me. It wasn't necessary. You were grounding this, you were crushing it, and then you did that. It's just like,
For me, it didn't take me out of it because, as somebody who's super into the Arkham games, it's something like that. Like, if he takes enough damage, you will die in the game. But you can take a few bullets. The suit's meant to. Now the difference is his helmet or his cowl appears to be a leather base. I don't think he could take a headshot. And honestly, this bat, and I'm gonna cover this real quick. The bat suit for a second-year bat suit, it was logical, it was practical, and it made sense. And it looks like it did have some like Kevlar to it under the logo. Whereas, like, you know, if Kilmer's Batman took a bullet, it's like, bro, that's latex. Like,
well, but like in '89 Batman, when he gets shot, he actually flinches, and then he falls down in the beginning. Kevin said, and I was just curious. He said that I think he said that the '89 Bruce is better than Bale's. I'm pretty sure that's what you were saying, man. I don't know if I'd go there. I thought Bale did a pretty good Bruce Wayne, and I love '89 Batman. There's only like a couple little things I change about it, and that's just after years of watching it. But the flying tank for a Batmobile is more accurate. The flying tank for a Batmobile. Now are we talking about the you're gonna do more
Tumbler or the Batman versus Superman or Justice League.
My bad, man. My bad. My bad on that one. But it's just something I would not have done in the movie, because Batman. The reason we go for Batman is, like I was telling somebody else earlier, it's like when you watch Daredevil, for me, that set the bar. Daredevil, the Punisher, TV shows, when they get hurt, you see the damage, you feel for him, it grounds it, you feel, I mean, it doesn't ground, like, he still should not be healing and doing all this stuff after as much whooping, but at least you see the aftermath of it. At least he feels vulnerable, so you feel for that. It's hard for me to really worry about a bulletproof Batman that's not worried himself. I don't know, it bugged me a lot, and it's something I really wish they wouldn't have doubled down on, but of course they did. But anyway, that's my biggest. The Tumbler, the Tumbler, at least they actually built, and I believe it was England, and it can actually do most of the stuff. Like, it can't like jump through buildings, obviously, but it can actually drive and corner and stuff like that. I'm not saying the Tumbler is my favorite. I'm just saying I like the aesthetic and everything that it can do, and then the bat pod and everything. Tumbler is cool. It's a little bit big and chunky for me.
And when the Tumbler came out, it was the first one that could do all those things. Like, all the earlier Batmobiles couldn't corner, they couldn't turn, they didn't drive that great. Whereas the Tumbler, they could actually like roll down the street and shoot a scene. Whereas before it was like they put them on those tow dollies and pushed. Like, so right. that was a big deal. I think we're going to have maybe next week we might do some rankings where we talk about Bruce Wayne's, Batman, maybe Batmobiles, Alfred's, villains, where we might break down some things. But I don't want to spoil where we rank that right now, because that is who the Batmobiles. So
I will say that, we talked about the Batmobile earlier in the spoiler-free. We both love this new version of the Batmobile. Once again, it fits the tone of the movie. It fits the reality. It looks great. It sounds great. They kept it in shadow, which means you'll be able to see more of it, and maybe it'll be a bit more of a character in the further movies. And
Kevin, I don't know if you got to see what I said, but it reminded me of two things. One, it looks like an old Cuda. Two, it feels like the death-proof Chevy Nova. And three, it totally feels like every teenager's dream to build this super cool Mad Max style hot rod. Like, it is It makes sense. It works. It's jacked up on these big tires. It's pretty awesome.
And so to go to Kevin's point now, he was saying that so the armored Batman is a no bueno, but tank Batmobile is. Well, I mean, it makes more sense. Like in Batman, in The Dark Knight, he says, you know, more copycats last night, Alfred, with guns. I'm carrying too much weight on my armor, so he has to shed his armor and be more vulnerable to move. This Batman had no problems moving and was completely bulletproof and had the least amount of muscle. Well, he had less muscle than Bale. So I'm just saying that there's some give and take with Batman. Either he needs to be armored up like Batman vs. Superman and can't move a whole lot, or he needs to be able to be flexible. It's a Charger. I don't know. I'm going to go back and the Batmobile, the new Batmobile. No, but the old Batmobiles, that fits Batman, right? If he's going to be driving around, he's going to be surrounded by police and bad guys, he needs to have armor. I know in the comics sometimes it was just a normal car, and then it evolved, right? I mean, it's in the original or in the '89 Batman with the shields and stuff like that, I don't know how long it would take you. It was a remote control. Anyway. Thought it was a CUDA.
Is it a Charger? Awesome. Is it built on a Charger platform? That's pretty cool. To me, it looked like a 72, 73 CUDA. Like I love old Mopar. So when I looked at it, I just got CUDA vibes like no other. But yeah, no, that's cool.
Hey. Now, let's go back to what you said earlier, and I said, wait, I wanted to come back to it. Go ahead and go to that.
I don't remember.
The Venom.
Oh, Titan. Cool. So Batman got knocked on his butt real hard and almost died until some dude decided that he was going to go shoot Catwoman, and then out of nowhere we pull out green juice and just inject it into our armor like he's the Predator, or Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, or Mr. Freeze from Batman and Robin. But I am venturing to guess that we are going to go from a tone of somewhat grounded reality to way more comic booky, because this looks like OG Bane. This looks like his green fluid. Or he shot a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle and collected their blood. It could be either. I don't know. But I'm feeling Bane and I'm feeling Titan.
Yeah, see, what's funny, you said all those different things, but the injection, where my mind went was the Universal Soldier with the Super Soldier Serum that they were using, or whatever it's called in the movie, I don't remember. But, yeah, see, I thought it was adrenaline when I first saw it, but then I remembered it was green, so I thought, no, it's interesting because in the comics, Batman actually started using that first, and then Bane took it to the next level. Now, I wanted to get back to this because I was just saying how the bullets and the explosions were a negative for me. This is kind of, and I was telling somebody else this in a spoiler-free, I said there's kind of an scapegoat for Batman's invulnerability for hitting the walkway or the bridge or whatever when he's flying, for all the damage to repair his body quickly. This is the out that the movie might give you to kind of fix that hole. That if he's on like this super steroid Venom juice or whatever, right, like that would heal his body faster. It would give him superhuman strength. It helps smooth those things out for me. That's the one thing I come back around and I try to. It makes that a little bit better for me. I just wanted to get back to that because I think that for me helped a lot.
For me, that little bit makes me think that we're going to get a little further away from the reality grounding, but then again, rumor has it Battinson's going to be in the Flash movie, which I don't see. This is why I'm glad that Christian Bale's not going to come back for the Flash movie, because it belongs to itself. Like, bringing that into that world doesn't work. I think from the world that we have set up with Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves' Batman, it doesn't necessarily work in a Justice League-esque way, whereas Ben Affleck's Batman does. Michael Keaton's could, if done correctly, or we're going to see the Flash and we're going to be absolutely furious. Which, with the way DC's gone, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But I'm not sure that this version of Batman needs to be taking on Justice League-esque type threats.
Jabari said that real Bane juice would cause cardiac arrest, and I would say yes, but I think like in the comics, Batman has been abusing it and kind of loses his mind and his blah blah blah. So I think if he started gradually, it's like cocaine. It reminds me of A Blow with Johnny Depp when he was like, you know, his daughter. I don't know if you've seen it, but his daughter's getting ready to be born. And like he snorted like however many pounds of cocaine. He's like, I guess I had a high tolerance. Like building up tolerance as you go. And then one of those things where he's like, hey, I'm surrounded. If I don't do this now, I might die anyway. So it's kind of like, it kind of reminds me of Crank too. But anyway, that helps me with that. So real quick, you know, we talked about the Batmobile. I really, just real quick, I like the motorcycle, the little ears on the motorcycle. I just thought the motorcycle was simplicity. And like we were saying, getting around him, ability to maneuver and to put on the helmet. I just thought the motorcycle was really cool. I don't have much else to say. I just thought it was a really cool addition to his gadgets and his whatever.
For getting around quickly, for being able to go Bruce Wayne / Batman, for being able to blend in, this was the best done in a Batman film because it gives you explanations without throwing them in your face. You pick up on it as you're watching the movie. You know how difficult it would have been for any of the previous Batman to go from one scene as Batman fully uniformed to the next scene as Bruce Wayne, but they do it in this. He's got the big heavy motorcycle jacket. His pants are technically like a cargo-esque. They don't look that out of place. His boots don't look that out of place. He's got the helmet. Like it works. It works. Before, when I saw set photos and I saw things like that, it looked goofy, but it makes sense and it works. It's not quite as goofy as Flying Squirrel, but it works.
I love the little the grappling gun that's in his wrist. I just thought that's really cool. He pulls back and it fires, and it has the same kind of spear tip as the '89 Batman. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but I just thought that was really cool. And it just, the way it works in the armor, it's efficient. It's cool. It's the same thing with his little bat logo that he can use and stuff like that. Like, I just love the efficiency of this Batman. It's not clean and sleek. It's efficient. And I just think that's really cool. It's like the Swiss Army knife of Batman almost. Like I just really like that. Let's see. Now, the last thing I really want to talk about, and maybe there's two things I want to talk about. One of them is did Pattinson, did he really do anything special? Because I'm going to be honest, his Bruce Wayne is very cold because he's so removed. That's fine. It works fine, right? Not a whole lot of acting there. I mean, there's some subtle moments and things like that. He did fine. In the bat suit, he's very quiet, reserved. He's a little hunched over, like he's always ready to fight, or he's kind of keeping in shadow, so it works. I kind of would have preferred him to stand up straight a little bit, but it works for the character. Vengeance, like, he was okay. I don't know if he did anything special. Thought the suit really saved him, like, because he's not in shape. Now, once again, the Bane juice could help him physically, right? Like sometimes, like when he's Batman all day long and he's not even working out, like when you're strong because your job makes you strong, I'll buy that, especially with the Bane stuff, if that, goes with it. I think the sound design of the boots, I think the sound design of the cape and the leather as it moves, the good looking suit, I think everything around him makes for a really good portrayal. I just don't know if he did anything special. I don't know. Kurt Cobain, I have to go back. I know Kurt Cobain. I guess I just don't know the feeling of him, the movements and stuff like that. I guess I'll have to. Like I said, he was okay. I don't know if he reinvented the wheel or did anything special. I think he was great for his movie. I just don't know if I was just like that guy right there. He set the new bar. I thought he did good. I just don't know. Yeah, yeah. Paul's in here. He's saying that he didn't do anything significant as a Batman character. He also didn't butcher the character either. I completely agree. I think there's growth to be had. I love but him and Gordon and him and Catwoman, his interaction with other characters that's probably the standout. I would say the interaction with other characters and the friendship building and stuff like that. I would probably say that's the standout. The fighting scenes are good, but it's nothing compared to that warehouse scene in Batman vs Superman. It doesn't even come close. Doesn't even touch it.
That warehouse scene, man. I could talk about that scene for like 6 days without a break. Like it was a perfect Batman scene, and it just went down the toilet. But no, as far as he goes, like necessarily, I don't think that he brought anything negative. I don't think that what he did as Batman's groundbreaking either. Now, I do think it could be if given a few more movies. I do think that he has the potential to become one of the best, if not the best, Batman. Now, still, if this DC Warner Brothers Discovery merger is going like all the hype is saying, and Batfleck gets to actually come back, which I don't think he even wants to, I'm reserving the right to put Batfleck at top just because he really feels like old man Bruce Wayne. Like no live action actor feels as much like a Bruce Wayne to me personally, or any Bruce Wayne I've interpreted as much as Ben Affleck. But it sucks because I can't put him in the top spot because he hasn't had his own movie. And okay, so yes, Kevin, Gotham is a character, and we said that earlier. This is the most, in my opinion, this is the best Gotham. It feels like the Arkham games. It feels like the comics. It feels like the cartoons. It feels like the animated films. It feels like Gotham, and it feels like I wanted it to. But
that's what she said.
Again, like I said earlier, John and I may be a product of what we've digested for much longer over time. I remember the day when I found out Ben Affleck was going to be Batman. I was so mad. And I ate my words in the theater when I saw Batman vs. Superman.
Yeah.
Now, I do also still kind of like see a little bit of plot-induced stupidity with Batman vs. Superman, but that's not what we're covering. I do think Robert Pattinson could become the best Batman. My only thing is, and I said this earlier, if we're going from brooding Batman to hopeful Batman in year 2, and they're talking a trilogy or more, that's not a story. It's not as, we need the brooding Batman for a while. That was going to be the angle that I was hoping they were going to stick to, just because it would work out better for a long run of films. But that's me. That's me personally.
Yeah, I'm with you. Now, does it bother you, Pattinson's physicality, the shape? Like I said, I think the suit, the sound design really saves him. I would have liked 20 more pounds of meat on him. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm sorry, you're supposed to be a world-class athlete. You're supposed to be able to survive this and work all this. Like, I can make it work. I just thought a few more days in the gym would have been great.
I've got 2 reasons why. Number 1, Michael Keaton. Number 2, the unrealistic expectation that's been set in superhero movies. In some of the graphic novels, Batman is built like the Hulk. But that's not all the Batman. Especially if you go back and look at year 1, and you look at like when Grayson takes over, Drake takes over, like, they're not exactly the most ripped, huge Batman. Bruce Wayne seems to get bigger as he gets older. I don't have that much of a problem with it at all, because I mean, I've been exposed to skinny Batman. Val Kilmer wasn't ripped. George Clooney wasn't ripped. Michael Keaton definitely wasn't ripped. Bale is the one who set that.
But once again, yeah, they were going for a more realistic tone, and it evolves. The characters evolve. It's the same thing with exercises. They evolve. Like I said, I give him a pass because it looks like he does nothing but eats, and he's Batman. And he goes back and he downloads everything. He writes it down in the journals, takes a little nap, and he goes back to work. So he doesn't really have time to work out. So I think he's more work strong. And I'll give it a pass, but I really wish he would have put on a little bit more, shows a dedication to the role, because like I said, I want some longevity out of these movies. I don't want a trilogy and we're done. Like, if you can't, and that, I don't know, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. I want this Batman and I want Ben Affleck's Batman to exist together, because I know I can get both. I can get the good stuff from the early ages of Batman, and I can get the good stuff from the end. I really wish we could live in a world with both. We'll see what happens, but anyway, Jabari said Ben Affleck played Batman and Daredevil. I could definitely get on board with that. I could definitely agree with that.
Speaking of that, I just watched the director's cut of Daredevil the other night, and Colin Farrell does not play the same character in both movies, thank God. But we're going to get Keaton with The Flash, and we're going to get Keaton with Batwoman. Cool. So we're getting more Keaton. I want Batfleck too, and I want Pattinson too. I want them all. I don't want all. This is the one that I don't want more of is Bale, because the story ended. It had an end. Now, if someday down the road, for some reason, Nolan got the wild hair to go ahead and do the Robin movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I'd probably watch it. Just gonna say, I'd watch it.
Yeah, I'd be down to see Justin Gordon-Levitt as like Nightwing or something like that. That'd be sweet. Like, 'cause he's Robin, right? Like, don't make him be Robin. Just go past that for this universe. Make him Nightwing. I could see like in this version, either Batman is still retired. Like, if you wanted to put Christian Bale in there, that world, I could see like, well, Christian Bale's still retired, or he came back and died, or something like that. You could have a tragic story, or you could have him like, no, Bruce is still alive and he retired and he's living the good life. I'm handling Gotham now as Nightwing. That'd be kind of cool. I'd be down for that. But real quick now, this is the last thing I pretty much have to say about, this, and we might go about the story. We did talk about the story a little bit in the beginning, but hold on. What is this Batwoman talk?
Oh, you don't know about the series?
The Batwoman series is gonna. I can't remember the gal's name. She's in it. She looks fantastic in the purple suit with the yellow.
Brendan Fraser.
Thank you. And
Michael Keaton
will be in there as well.
Batman.
Yep.
It's HBO Max, right?
I believe so. Yes. I believe so.
Yeah. It's shooting right now.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if it's almost done. But now, if you remember when 2017's It came out, of course it always goes back to horror. We do mostly horror on this channel. When 2017's It came out, everybody was like, oh my God, that miniseries. Oh my God, it's nothing, it's crap. Now, I don't want to compare this completely because it's not the same thing. The miniseries was a low budget, yada yada. Like the quality wasn't there. I love it. I think it's just as good as the new movies, if not better. I can understand your argument for saying, wow, this is the new pinnacle. This is the best it's ever been. I'm super happy for it. But originally, that knee-jerk reaction, everybody crapped on the miniseries. Now they're coming back and they're going, no, that miniseries is still pretty awesome for what it is. Like, do you think that people are blowing this movie out of proportion and forgetting how awesome that The Dark Knight and Batman Begins is? Because that's how I was talking about last week. I feel like people they're knee-jerk, that honeymoon phase hard.
So, real quick on the It thing. When it came out, I knew it was supposed to be closer to the source material. But I thoroughly did not enjoy It or It Chapter 2. I thoroughly love the original miniseries, even though It's arguably trash in its own right. That said, every time a new entry comes into a franchise or reboots a franchise or something like that, there's always a group of people who are going to completely crap on everything that came before it and say this is the new standard. I think personally that once this dies down a little bit, that talk's going to level out. I also think that the comparisons between The Batman, The Dark Knight, Batman 89, I don't think they're exactly comparable because they're all their own interpretations. That's why I said it's my interpretation. It's how I feel. I prefer certain things. People's argument for this movie being better than where I would put it makes sense. People's argument for it being lower makes sense. I don't like how much I'm seeing flowing around the internet. Everybody is just like, this movie's great. It makes The Dark Knight look like a joke.
Right.
No, it doesn't. It means at the time, with what Nolan was bringing to the table with the Dark Knight trilogy, what Christian Bale, Heath Ledger, Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, Gary Oldman brought to that set was amazing. There's no argument. What was brought to this set was amazing. It drives me nuts, and I see this talk all the time, especially on a couple of Facebook groups where people are just like, no, that movie's trash now because this one came out. Man, if I said that, you know how many movies I'd have to get rid of? And no, it's not. It's its own movie. It was really good. And personally, I am still more fond of the Dark Knight trilogy. That's I think me. That's one guy's take.
Yeah, I think it's more fair to compare Bale's to the new Batman because Nolan was trying to ground it in realism. Matt Reeves is trying to ground it in realism again. So it's more fair to do that. Compare it to like 89, like when you were coming off of 66 Batman and some other junk. And then, to come off, you also have to remember you're coming from Batman and Robin, and then you go to Batman Begins. Like, I feel like the jumps are nuts. But I do feel like you can compare those, the Nolan and the Matt Reeves, because of the groundedness. But hang on a second. I think people are just surprised on the take and how well this movie actually did. The Dark Knight series is still better. It's hard to compare also because we've got a full picture for the Dark Knight trilogy. So I will give but like I said last week, the Batman is a fantastic jumping off point. Builds characters very well for the most part. Doesn't betray anything too much. It establishes Gotham and the history and stuff like that. So I think this is a great jumping off point. I think people are just surprised. The Batman is a true detective story, not a Batman movie. It has him in this mode. I adore The Dark Knight. Yeah, and I do like that. I do like do you see Batman a lot with a flashlight? Really makes me feel like the comics, the detective story. I do like that a lot. We didn't mention that a whole lot. I do like the detective side of it. I just don't like how his detective side of it paid off in the end. It just felt like once again, you were duped. You were a cog in the wheel, and then you didn't really solve it anyway. I mean, you figured it out, but you didn't really stop it. The Dark Knight was generally a genius, especially his time, 2008. Dude, now, it deserves all the hype it ever got, and it deserves the hype it has today. The Dark Knight is fantastic. Like I said, I just watched it last week on 4K, and it's a wild ride from beginning to end. I think the movie actually would have done better had they stopped it right when Two-Face is in the hospital. And that's how I stop it. Usually, if I'm going to watch the next one immediately after, I stop it when Two-Face is in the hospital, and then I finish that, and then I go into The Dark Knight Rises. It just kind of helps the connective tissue a little bit for me. It just flows a little bit better instead of that detached of 8 years when you go into Rises. But anyway, so I think that's. I mean, I'm sure we missed some plot points, but really, I just thought like the overblowing of the Batman, and just crapping on the Dark Knight because it's an easy go-to. Yeah. I mean, but
It drives me nuts. Like there's something to be said if like every entry in a franchise was really bad. Like if you picked on something random that is just arguably bad throughout, like Killjoy, and then for some reason somebody went and made a new Killjoy movie and it was just the best killer clown horror film of all time. That's one thing. But this franchise has very solid entries that embrace different types. That said, my biggest issue with another Bruce Wayne story is that it is another interpretation of a Bruce Wayne story when there are plenty of other Batmen. I'm ready. I'm ready for a Terry McGinnis. I'm ready for anybody else to take on the cowl for a little bit.
I'm very interested to see the Batgirl. I know Jabari did the facepalm. I think it was Jabari, but it's something we've never seen before. It's interesting, the interactions. We're going to get a little backstory of Michael Keaton's and maybe how his Batman progressed. We'll see. I mean, it could be great. Could be worthless. Let's rate it next week because I'm going to go see it again tomorrow. And there's so much in this 3-hour movie. And like I said last week, there's nothing really that I thought that was terrible or anything else like that. But The Dark Knight, when you left The Dark Knight had some hope at the end of it, but it was like a spectacle. Like people to this day talk about how awesome Heath Ledger is. And for the most part, I mean, there's some debate. Some people like Joaquin Phoenix, but for the most part, Heath Ledger's number one, will probably always be number one, and for good reason. There's not a bad scene with Heath Ledger in it in The Dark Knight. Not one. Probably the weakest part of the entire one, or his part, is probably the beginning bank robbery. Just because he's in less makeup, he doesn't really actually take off the mask at the last seconds. That's not his fault. It's probably just the weakest because everything else is just gold. But anyway, yeah, let's hold off and we'll rate it next week. And we will do all the ratings next week because we went in deep with this movie. We missed some of the highlights, but like I said, the characters really carry the story. I thought the Thomas Wayne thing, that probably could have been a revelation that was saved for a later date. I thought the Catwoman Falcone relationship was it just wasn't really needed in my opinion. I don't know, could have been deleted because for time. Gotham is a character, like you guys said. Riddler, I kind of have my issues with it because the movie framed it as he's the main villain when he's actually not. And I just didn't like how it all went down with him. I would have actually liked for the Riddler to get away. I liked how they set that up. Just last minute thoughts here. I don't really know. Like the Joker dude, I thought that because of the side that they shot him on, I actually kind of thought that was Two-Face. I got that the laugh, right? The laugh is iconic, but it didn't quite fit. It just kind of felt like a Tommy Lee Jones kind of like throwaway, creepy laugh. I'll have to see it. I understand why they put in the Joker. I would have liked to waited on that a little bit longer. But once again, we'll see. If the Joker's a background villain, if they put the Joker and the Riddler like together and they're manipulating everything from inside Arkham, and then we build on that, and then later on they break out and take control or something like that. We'll see. We'll see. I would have waited. We'll see. It wasn't bad. I don't know. Why is there a Batwoman when there's a Batgirl? Why is there a Batwoman when there's a Batgirl? Shake my head. Now, Batwoman is the show from the CW, right? But Batgirl is going to be the movie. Is that correct, Caleb? Am I right?
I can't keep them. I can't keep track at this point. These timelines are so confusing.
Yeah, and then Paul says, yeah, it was definitely a good first movie. We just need more. I don't know how I feel about the Riddler and the Joker teaming up. Yeah, we'll have to see. Yeah, we'll see.
I can work with it because Joker's always been about finding those relationships and self-serving and then offing the competition once they finalize their agreement. He's really big on that. I just think that was the weakest Joker laugh and profile I have ever seen ever. And when the laugh came up, I was like, I can't even, what? Like, even Leto's was a little bit more of Leto's was a better laugh. I said it. I said it.
The thing that's funny, man, is like the best teaser trailer of all time is for The Dark Knight, when it's climbing through the building and everything's falling, and then you hear like some men just want to watch the world burn, and you hear that Heath Ledger Joker laugh. You knew it was something special, like, and that's it. You did. Some people want to watch the world burn. There's a threat rising on the horizons, like. And a laugh. That's it. That's all you needed. And you had my money. That's what's weird to me. Is like you had Batman Begins, and most people liked Batman Begins. You know what I mean? Super solid return to form, especially after Batman and Robin. You didn't need to supermarket The Dark Knight because that you already had your marketing. It's like Kills were Halloween. You already had a great movie. People are kind of come back. You just need a super great trailer and a couple shots. You don't need to give everything away. That Batwoman show is straight hot garbage. Yeah, I kind of gave up of Arrow and Flash. Like I like the first 3 seasons of 4 seasons of Arrow, 4 seasons of Flash, and then it's just rinse, repeat.
Yeah. No, I was invested in Arrow most of the way through. Flash, the first 3 seasons are fantastic. After that, it's just meh. Never got into Legends of Tomorrow. Never got into that. I tried watching the CW, it is Batwoman or Batgirl, whatever, and I made it about halfway through the first season and was just bored. The one thing I will say is they bring in Batwing, which is cool, in my humble opinion, but the show kind of sucks, so I'm not going to sit through it to watch them get to Batwing.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, I just don't have that time to crunch through a show if I'm not sold. Especially now having 2 kids, but I am slowly rewatching Batman the Animated Series. God dang, that's good. But anyway, any last minute thoughts, Caleb? Any thoughts about the story or anything else that you want to say before we go?
I think I kind of want to say this just to so people might have a better understanding of where I'm coming from. My favorite animated and comic of Batman is actually The Dark Knight Returns. So when you think about that, you think about the choices I make when we do get to our rankings, when we do get to our actors and do get to our characters, I think it helps to keep that in mind that I'm really looking for that dark Batman. I am not as polite to campy Batman. Not nearly as polite. Which I think is why John can forgive some of the things in the 2017 Justice League. I cannot. I can't do it. So, and I think that I don't want to make, like I said earlier, these are my opinions. I'm glad that there's multiple versions of the same character for many to enjoy. It should be that way. What I'm saying is not the end-all be-all of the Batman. Yeah.
I just, like I said, I just want some longevity. And in my opinion, I'm right and you're wrong. And if you're right and I'm wrong, I want to see your opinions down below. That's my stance on it. And Caleb's usually wrong and I'm usually right. And it's just how it is. Somebody's got to be right, somebody's got to be wrong,
up
right?
Total Recall being, or not Total, until you said True Lies is better than T2. Get out of here.
I don't know. I do love T2. I really do. But you know me, I like almost Terminator 1 better than T2. I don't know. I love T2. Maybe it's like The Dark Knight where you beat the bejeezers out of it for so long you kind of get numb to the awesomeness. You know what I'm saying? And then you go back and watch it and you're like, nope, I was wrong. That's amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's something where we take for granted how awesome it is. And I'm not the end all be all. I know Terminator 2 is not the best movie of all time. Anyway, I want to say that Chris popped in here for a second. Chris, he is on a podcast. It's the Avatars, the Last Podcasters. I'm going to be doing that with him tomorrow night. I pray I still have a voice left for tomorrow night. He's a college buddy of mine. He's a super nice guy. So we're going to be talking about the Batman there. We'll have some rankings there. really looking forward to reconnecting with him, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. And then next week we will come back and we will dominate the rankings. We'll see how many we get through. We'll just be talking Batman when we should have been talking Batman 2 months ago. We'll just be talking Batman until the next Batman comes out. But real quick, what's the next horror that's on the docket for us? I mean, I know Ends comes out. The Cursed is out right now. I would love to see. I just don't have the time. And I say that, but I'm going to go see the Batman with my wife tomorrow. But is there another big horror movie that's coming out that we're gearing up for? Or?
I honestly, the Orphan prequel should be coming soon.
Okay. The Alien reboot. I don't know if it's this year, though. I don't think it's this year. I think
Final
it's next
Destination year. 6. Final Destination 6. Saw 10.
Oh, good call.
Oh my God.
Good call, Paul. Yeah, the movie called X, but I think it's an A24 movie or something like that. Is it? Yeah, I do want to see that. I've heard good things. It looks good.
Dave Grohl's film, Studio 666, just came out. I want to see. Speaking of Nirvana, I believe that's I feel like most of the stuff that's dominating at the moment is comic book related. I mean, you got, I don't know. I feel like I'm trapped in a comic book world between Spider-Man and this, and then Morbius is coming out, and then, all the stuff surrounding the DC universe. Yeah. I don't know. I feel exhausted by it all.
I know, but it's a good time to be alive. Like, like when we were growing up, like I think I said this last week, that's all I do is repeat my two thoughts in my brain. But like I said last week, when we were growing up, there was like 4 superhero movies. Like really, like, and then you had to oh no, I love the Dolph Lundgren Punisher. Do you? Do you love it, or is that all you have? You know what I mean? Like, I like the Dolph Lundgren Punisher because I was young enough to where I didn't know any better. Like, I love the Masters of the Universe movie with Dolph Lundgren in '87 because I was young enough and it just works. But really, we had nothing. Like, and then all of a sudden you get a little bit older and you get Spawn and Blade and all this cool stuff, and then all the X-Men movies. Whoa, Spider-Man. It's amazing. We come from at least I'm a couple years older. I come from a time where there's not a whole lot. And then all of a sudden, like, Ninja Turtles and Batman are like the top tier, and then boom, a whole new universe. So it's crazy. I have not seen Uncharted. I'm not a big fan, and I didn't hear really good things. And I'll probably, I don't know. I'll probably read it later on.
I'll probably Netflix it. It wasn't high on my radar, anyways, and I didn't play the game much, so nah. And that's the other thing. There's quite a few like video game movie interpretations I feel like that are coming out. I still haven't seen the new Resident Evil, which I wanted to see. 'Cause, I mean, it's not like anything past the first 2 Resident Evil movies that came out was great. So I mean, the bar was really low. And I think I read somewhere that there was talks of a reboot for Joyride. Oh, Jeepers Creepers Reborn.
Yeah, good call. Good call. Just a plug real quick. I saw something on my news feed or somewhere, I don't remember, but I think it's You Need a Horror Podcast. They're actually going to have an interview with the director soon. And then that'll give some more information. So that's kind of cool. I didn't know that the director was doing interviews, so I might stick my head in on that one. But
yeah, I might have to check that out.
Yeah. It's been fun, man. I know we missed some stuff. If there's anything you thought, any questions that you guys want us to get to, anything we missed, let us know. Man, that's a 3-hour movie, and there's a lot of good stuff to talk about. There's some nitpicky stuff, but overall, solid jumping off point.
Yeah. No, go see it.
Yep. Hey guys, everybody, Jabari, Paul, Kevin, everybody that came in, Chris for a second. Well, I'll see you tomorrow night. But appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're watching this later, we really appreciate it as well. Put down the comments down below. Once again, I'm right, you're wrong. Tell me why you're right and I'm wrong, and why Caleb is always wrong, as like always. And make sure and like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell so you can get some more R&R. Till next time, we're out of here. Caleb's about to pass out.
Bye.